TFA fam, what is up? What is happening? We are back again with another video. If you could be so kind and you find anything good from this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. It's been a great day. It's a great day, guys. NFL free agency is here. Mitchell Trubisky. It's now Mitchburg there in Pittsburgh. Okay. The truth, Trubisky is home. He is now the starting quarterback for your Pittsburgh Steelers. I know the Yinzers up there in Pittsburgh must be excited. I'm sure Cody today got all kinds of phone calls, texts from the people from the homeland saying how excited they were with Mitchell Trubisky coming home and being the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Eagles signed Hassan Reddick, So
there's one good thing in Pennsylvania.
Cody, how you feeling?
Awful, terrible.
There will be no Mitchell Trubisky slander on this podcast.
Super letdown. I shouldn't expect anything less though out of the Steelers. This happens every year. Get the hopes up with the free agents, and then this year we have all this cap, and there's all these quarterbacks out there. And they're all available at the same time that Ben is gone. And we get Mitchell. I'm calling Mitch. I don't care if he wants to be called Mitchell. I'm not doing it. I'm calling him Mitch. We get Mitch fucking Trubisky, and that's what we get. And then we re-sign turds that nobody cares about. I literally feel like the Willy Wonka gif where it says, "You'll get nothing, sir. You lose." That's what I feel like.
Well, my kid's preschool teacher tells her, you get what you get and you don't get upset. Okay, Cody? Just be happy with Mitchell.
Okay.
I refuse and I won't.
Listen, first of all, there will be no Mitchell Trubisky slander on this podcast. Who
we
knows?
Should just say there should be no Mitchell Trubisky.
Maybe he's the next Kirk Cousins. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. Mike Tomlin has done wonders with less, and so we'll see. We got Deontay Johnson. We got Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth. I mean, listen, you should be excited, okay? Be excited that you actually have a real quarterback now with some mobility who is not a complete skeleton back there, okay? So, anyways, Mitchell Trubisky was not the only free agent quarterback, or the only free agent that was signed. We have James Conner coming back to Arizona, and depending on what they do there, that could be a massive for fantasy football. Man averaged 23.1 fantasy points per game in the 5 starts without Chase Edmonds last year. Chase Edmonds himself signs a 2-year deal with Miami, $12 million, $6.1 million guaranteed. So that will continue there with Miami. Just tread the tires, trying to see what they can get. But really, let's talk about the Jaguars and just out there, just making it rain like James Harden in Atlanta out there at the local strip clubs. Okay, because they go out and they sign Christian Kirk. He is now the 3rd highest paid wide receiver in the league, to a 4-year, $84 million deal. But wait, there's more, because they also signed a Brandon Sheriff, which I thought was a great signing. That was a good signing. Great signing there. And then you also have, then they signed Zay Jones, right? I don't know why.
$30 million, right?
What we're doing, I don't know. I don't know why we're signing Zay Jones, but that's what they did. Maybe that means Bryan Edwards will actually be a thing this year. Probably not, but it's fun to think about in Las Vegas. And then they also signed Evan Ingram. So they're just out there, they've been waiting all this time, and now this is what they come up with. But hey, first of all, what do you guys think that means for the rest of this offense? Because you still have Marvin Jones there, Laviska Shenault, Travis Etienne, Dan Arnold, legend Dan Arnold is still there. So what are your guys' thoughts there with Jacksonville?
I don't think that kills Dan Arnold because Doug Peterson typically likes to run a 2 tight end offense. And I think Christian Kirk fits somebody who can stretch the field. Evan Ingram, he sees in that Zach Ertz role if Evan Ingram can, not be dead and on the sideline. So I don't mind the offensive moves. It's the money, I think, that we're so caught up about. Marvin Jones is still going to get his. I like it a lot for Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence is actually going to have bodies to throw to. Laviska Shenault, I mean, maybe we'll see some jet sweeps this year. I don't know. I don't know what Doug's going to do with them. So that's questionable, but you're signing some more some wide receivers in more of a traditional role there. So I don't know what's going to happen with Chenault. Maybe they can try and use him in the Cordero Patterson role there. Doug does get a little frisky on offense sometimes. So that's the hope there for the offense. But the 1 year where Carson Wentz blew up was the year that Doug decided to put a ton of weapons around him, and they spent that money. So this is kind of the same thing. They're taking care of the line. And now they can have that number 1 overall pick. They can go draft Aiden Hutchinson if they want. Or, you know what? If they want to take an offensive tackle or Evan Neal or any of them, then they can do that and just load up on the offensive side of the ball. But I don't mind the moves. It's the money. But we don't know the contract details yet, like the guaranteed money, how it's broken down. And they have a ton of space. So let's calm down.
I believe the Christian Kirk deal. It's actually it's more of a 2-year, $39 million deal. The way the deal breaks, because after that, I think there's very little guaranteed money after that deal. After the first, I believe the first 2 years is fully guaranteed.
It's actually $72 million with escalators that can make it up to 84. So they did a couple moves with escalators too. I think the Zay Jones one had escalators where you can get like $6 million more or something like that. So I don't know what they're doing there, but we have to see the contract details before we just, lose our mind. But there was a tweet put out by Field Yates, I believe, the last 6, highest spending teams in free agency have gotten at least 3 more wins than they did the previous season, and I think 2 teams got 7 more wins. So they're putting it out there.
Yeah, man, I think we all agree too that Urban Meyer didn't help things last year with that team anyway. But yeah, I mean, the Christian Kirk thing, and listen, like teams like this, like you have to overpay to get these guys. Your premier free agents aren't coming to Jacksonville, right? So you're gonna have to overpay. You're gonna have to throw the boat at some of these guys to be able to get them under contract. And so I think that while yes, on paper it's easy to look at and laugh at some of these deals that they're making and think that they're overpaying some of these guys, it's kind of what they have to do. I still think Christian Kirk is a solid slot wide receiver for them, and it's still an upgrade over what they have. I mean, they have a ton of wide receivers there, but I still think it's a smart move, especially when you have a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, under contract. You have to maximize his rookie deal as much as you possibly can. Maybe they're not the moves that an Allen Robinson or Juju Smith-Schuster. Or something like that, some of the top end guys that are on here. But I still think Christian Kirk, who's also one of the youngest wide receivers that are available too. He's only 25. So we're not talking about an older player.
Oh, and what's up, Walito?
It's also funny how short our memory is because everyone's freaking out about the Jags overpaying these wide receivers when literally 365 days earlier, it was the Patriots who overpaid Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. Like everyone's freaking out about it. Like, are we forgetting what the Pats did last year?
And 2 tight ends, Hunter Henry and Jonnu.
Yeah.
And there was another wide receiver in there too, wasn't there?
I thought there was, but I couldn't. I couldn't.
It feels like there was.
Yeah.
But I will say though, the Michael Gallup deal kind of looks like a steal now.
It looks a lot better.
What they're able to do. But it's crazy that he hasn't even had his ACL surgery yet. Like, he hasn't even had the surgery yet. He's supposed to have the surgery on Thursday.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Which also leads us to Amari Cooper being traded to the Browns, David Njoku getting tagged by the Browns, and then Cedric Wilson, the wide receiver 3 from Dallas last year, signing with Miami. And then Chase Edmonds signing with Miami and Gesicki getting the tag there as well. How do you guys feel about Edmonds in Miami?
I think that was interesting. Honestly, because he sort of has profiled a little bit, very somewhat similar to an Austin Eckler in terms of his career path and the way that he's gone. And so I like Chase Edmonds quite a bit. I don't think he's going to be the lead back there in that offense. He's not going to be a guy who's going to get 20 touches a game, but I still think he's probably in the range of 12 to 15, something like that. I don't think this precludes them from going and getting somebody in the draft. I think that's still well within the range of possibility. But so I like the move for Chase Edmonds. I think it's a good spot. This was kind of one of the premier landing spots people were looking at for a running back. And like I said, it's just even better news for James Conner, who they could still do something. I mean, it's still possible. Who knows? We've seen teams go out and make moves, and then all of a sudden, they draft, a running back in the second round. So, I mean, it's definitely not the range of possibility. But as things stand for James Conner, this is a big boost for his value for 2022. And then for Cooper, this is gross. I am not excited about this move for him at all. I've seen some optimism from TFA's own friend Derek Brown, who thinks this is a great move for Amari Cooper. I do not. I would disagree with him on that because I think that we've seen this offense for a while now. Like, what's the one? Was anybody excited to draft Jarvis Landry or Odell Beckham or any of these guys? And so, Amari Cooper's a good wide receiver, but this is a bad blow for Amari Cooper's fantasy value in 2022, in my opinion. Unless they make some move to upgrade the quarterback position, which I don't see that happening because Desean Watson has already told them to go fuck themselves, and so that's not happening. And so there's really no other path for this. And so, I don't think it's a great move, honestly. It's not good for him, anyways, for fantasy purposes. I don't think.
Where do you guys see him being drafted in redraft come August?
I honestly would say probably 6th round, something like that.
That's what that's where I was leaning as well.
Yeah.
Does he become a value at that point, or are you still?
I just don't think there's that much excitement to be had with him. I don't know what the ceiling is. I mean, we're talking about an offense that is complete run first, and they want to run the football, and so I just don't know how this really is a great move for him. I don't think I don't think there's a large ceiling here, and so even in the 5th or 6th round of a draft, I'm still looking for that ceiling that could be had there because you're still talking about some pretty quality wide receivers that are going to be going around that range, and most of them I would probably want over him, and so it's just not exciting for Amari Cooper.
And you're talking about what's his upside? Top 24 back end wide receiver 2. And then he's going to be your wide receiver 3. If I'm taking a wide receiver in round 6, I'm going to take the guy with more upside. And Amari, you can argue either way that he has upside, but I mean, the data that's been correlated from Cleveland wide receivers the last, God knows how many years with Baker, it's not promising. So it's put it this way. I'll take him as my wide receiver 4. I'll throw him in a flex. I don't want to have him as my wide receiver 2 ever.
I would just let I would just let somebody else take him.
So would I.
So Noel has a question here. Thoughts on the Chargers moves, and man, they have been making them by the boatload. I literally forgot that they signed Mike Williams at 3 years, $60 million or so. What is that? What it was, right?
Yeah, like $45 million guaranteed. I think the first year is like $29 million he's getting or something like that. So good for Mike Williams, man.
Yeah, thought he was completely overpaid. To be honest, I mean, he had 5 good weeks this past year. But the real story is what they're doing on defense, right? First, they trade for Khalil Mack. Then they go out and lock down J.C. Jackson with a massive contract, like $82.5 million. I believe it's kind of similar to the Byron Jones contract, I think that Miami gave, and then getting Sebastian Joseph Day on the defensive line as well. So just absolutely loading up that defense that already has a bunch of talent. You talk about Asante Samuel, Derwin James,
Joey Bosa,
and then Joey Bosa as well. So that defense, man, is going to be really fun to watch. But Noah has a question of, do we think that they get another weapon for Herbert or draft Davis if still available?
So the best part about doing something like this in free agency is you don't hamstring yourself into doing anything. So they're going to go best player available, which is what they should be doing. So I have no idea what they're going to do. It all depends on the board. What do you think?
They added to the offensive line last year in free agency, right? Going out and getting Lindsley and the offensive lineman from the Steelers, whose name is Matt Filer.
Yep.
I still think they could use another wide receiver. So maybe somebody with a different skill set. Keenan Allen obviously isn't getting any younger. The wide
We have
receiver who
Josh
stepped,
Palmer still.
Palmer. But I feel like that's kind of a little redundant. What I mean? He can play both outside and inside, but like I don't think he brings anything like different to the table, so to speak. What I mean? So I still think they could do something there. I mean, maybe something at tight end. Maybe finally stop messing around with all these undrafted free agents and the old guys, and maybe do something at tight end. But then again, this draft isn't exactly the draft to do it. So Tom, like you said, they've left themselves with a lot of options and kind of set themselves up very nicely. I would like to see them go out and add, maybe like a speed guy. Kev, if your guy Jameson Williams would fall to them, I think that would be a fantastic fit. Give them, a speedy wide receiver who actually has some pedigree and not the Jalen Guytons of the world, and could always end up shoring up that offensive line as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of what Tom said. I think they're in a position now to just draft whatever the best player available is, and you don't care about needs at this point. And that's how you should run every NFL draft. You shouldn't be drafting for any need. It should always be for the best player available. And I think that's how you end up, really knocking it out of the park when in terms of the NFL draft is concerned. And so I think that's probably where you land. Yeah, could they use another wide receiver? I mean, sure. Do they need one? Like, is it a need? No, I don't think it is with what they have. I think the wide receivers that they have are fine. I could see them maybe, adding one of the secondary pieces in terms of a wide receiver, here, whether, I think there's a lot of different names that come to mind that they could possibly add, but it wouldn't surprise me either for them to do something like that. I think they definitely still need some improvement on the defensive line. And probably at linebacker for sure. So, but the AFC West is going to be a lot
We didn't
of
even
fun
talk about that yet.
this year. I mean, we haven't talked about Russell Wilson being traded to Denver for the 9th overall pick, a second round pick for this year, 40th overall, plus a 2023 first, a second next year, a fifth, and then they also shipped off Noah Fant, Drew Lock, and Shelby Harris, and all of that. So, the Broncos obviously get immediately better. I think there's a really good chance that Von Miller comes back to Denver. He's kind of been teasing them and all that stuff. I think there's a really good chance he does that. Russell Wilson has also been actively recruiting Bobby Wagner to come there as well. Yeah. So the AFC West is going to be an absolute gauntlet. Sorry, Raiders. You are not.
Josh McDaniels was like, "You can do this, Josh. You can do this, Josh." Well, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing, going back to the Chargers real quick, is they don't have a second round pick now. Their next pick is at 79, so I could definitely see them trading back at 17 because that board, unless somebody falls, it's a really good value. There's going to be a lot of people on the board, 13 picks later. A team wants a quarterback to jump up. They can do that. So I could see the Chargers trading back there. But AFC West, have fun with that. Have fun with that, Kev. Going to be fun games. Those primetime games are going to be like AFC West versus AFC West. AFC West versus AFC West.
Yeah, they have a really solid – I mean, the AFC West is a really good schedule this year too. So there's going to be a lot of good matchups to be had. So there as well.
Real quick before we move on from the Russ Wilson thing, I just have to – there's something I have to get off my chest. If I see another person say Cortland Sutton is DK Metcalf and Jerry Judy is Tyler – there's a reason why we call DK Metcalf a physical freak, right? Like they are not the same. Why are we making? Why are we doing that? Why are we? It doesn't make sense. So many people, as soon as that trade happened, came out. He's the DK Metcalf. No, he's not. Why are we doing that?
No, we're not. And I mean, what the splits when Jerry Judy comes back
What wide receiver in this offense would you rather have now, Jerry Judy or Cortland Sutton?
Jerry Judy.
Judy.
It's Cortland Sutton. I don't think it's close.
I mean, it's wrong.
It's Jerry Judy, and I don't think it's close.
Because, I mean, Cortland Sutton, we've seen Cortland Sutton. I mean, Jerry Judy, for all intents and purposes, has never broken out, right? We're going into
Correct.
year 3. He has never broken out, right?
Year
We're still
3
living off the
breakout?
hope of what he could be, right? And so,
who are you taking in round 6, Jerry Judy or Amari Cooper?
Judy.
I think Jerry Judy's going to go later than that. I think.
Okay, that wasn't the question.
Well, I'd probably rather have Jerry Judy, but I don't know what that has to do with Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, because you wouldn't take Amari, you would just take Jerry Judy later.
But I'm talking about the conversation about Cortland Sutton. I mean, Cortland Sutton has a 1,100-yard season under his belt, with Drew Lock at quarterback, right? And I think Cortland Sutton fits better with what Russell Wilson does than what Jerry Judy does. I still think Jerry Judy could be good. I think he could be a solid, even maybe a low end wide receiver 2. But I think Cortland Sutton has like wide receiver 1 upside now with Russell Wilson at quarterback.
I think Jerry Judy does too. I think the knee injury screwed him up last year, and then the quarterback situation was just the team was a bit of a mess towards the end, obviously. But he's got some work to do in the offseason, obviously. But having Russell Wilson as your quarterback and then not having to worry about that is going to do a lot for both those wide receivers. So, that's the good thing is it doesn't have to necessarily be either or, because I think they can both be top 24 wide receivers, like you said. One of them is just going to, possibly blow up. Give me Judy.
It's Cortland Sutton. But like I said, I mean, we've seen Tyler Lockett. We've seen Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf both be wide receiver 1s with Russell Wilson. So that's not out of the range of possibility here either.
Then obviously we had Tom Brady unretire, going back to some older news. Aaron Rodgers.
Not surprising whatsoever.
Not at all. If you dropped him in Dynasty, you deserve to get kicked right in the dick.
He's just one of those players. He's one of those players like Aaron Rodgers, right? Where he just loves the spotlight on him and he wants people to talk about him. And it's how it's been this entire time. And he's left little hints and little breadcrumbs that he's not done. We heard there were rumors that he wanted to go shredded somewhere else, and obviously Bruce Arians shut that shit down. And so this was pretty obvious that he was going to come back, and it doesn't surprise me that he came back this year.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who have to sit at home with their kids for 5 straight weeks usually wants to go back to work. Giselle was probably like, "Get out of the house, Tom. Get the fuck out of the house. Go away."
Then Godwin got tagged. Jensen went back to the Bucs. And then they also re-signed Carlton Davis as well. It also should be mentioned that they lost Alex Kappa to Cincy.
Yeah, and they still have that wonderful hole at running back where everybody wants Breece Hall to go because Fournette and Ronald Jones, who's not good at football, Robbie, they're gone for now.
So we got a little dynasty question here for you, dynasty dudes. What's fair competition for Dak and Connor in a dynasty league?
Separate or together? Well,
and
together.
Little boxes also. Let's tackle Connor first. Let us know. Is this a super flex? Because that is going to change the answer heavily.
Okay. Well, Dak. I don't know what your roster looks like, but you're including 2023 first-round picks. I mean, Dak is easily worth a 101 in a rookie draft this year.
101 plus, yes.
Easily.
I would happily give that up for him as well.
Yes, no doubt. And then Connor, I know he's on a second contract or a third contract technically, but if you need a running back and you're drafted in like the 110 to 112 range, I think Connor, I would move that for Connor probably.
I don't know if I could give up the late first for him. I know, obviously,
If
Chase
I can get
Edmonds.
if I can get like a later second back or a third back, I might do it. Now that's if I'm in rough shape for a running back there. But you're getting Dak and Connor. I got to know what the start of the trade is.
Yeah, Dak, you're talking multiple first, right? Like you're not getting middling players, and like you're getting top tier talent, top tier value for Dak. Connor, I look at him as a early to mid second, just because I don't think, like, we saw what happened to him once he was the guy for a couple of weeks, right? He just fell apart, and that's the same thing that happened to him in Pittsburgh. That's why Pittsburgh let him, go on, even though he was he's a PA guy. Obviously, went to school at Pitt. Have that whole great story there, and Pittsburgh obviously tries to re-sign a lot of their guys, and they let Connor go because the dude just falls apart. I mean, it's a great story and everything. So, like, that's why I would not be able to. I would not want to give up that late first. He'd be more of a early mid second for me. But like I said, Dak, you're talking, that 102 and a 2023 first would not be enough.
Not enough, no. You definitely need to start throwing a player or two in there.
Yeah, I need an extra first in there.
Right, but even the extra first there.
Right, I'm saying like to even to like start thinking about it.
Right. So the extra first there, I'd be like, for Dak, I'd probably be like, well, yeah, I think so. Maybe. Depending on how I was a quarterback. Because that's what Dak is probably worth. Yeah.
Is there... What quarterback would you have to have added to this to like make you even debate it? Like what level of quarterback are we talking?
Stand by.
Like, would you do it for a
Kirk Cousins? No, that was just because that's Amari called him Kirk Cousins for it's basically the same guy, right? Hold on.
Higher than a Tua?
Zach Wilson?
Yeah, higher than a Tua, higher than Zach Wilson.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence would get it done, I think. Trey Lance would get it done. Fields would probably get it done.
So we're still looking for younger quarterbacks who still have
so it's
we have not seen. But you
correct.
definitely want to get more.
Correct. That's where I would go. Jalen Hurts. I don't know about the long game there.
Shaky. Yeah.
Probably not. That's not safe. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is too old. Stafford, I would do it. Stafford probably is going to be my cutoff. But I don't know why the guy would do that for Stafford. Or why you would trade Stafford away there.
Yeah.
Plus all those picks.
Plus the picks.
So
glad you asked their little boxes before you accepted it. You definitely want to get more, especially with Dak being in that trade.
Yeah, and if it's the 2023 class where it's the 102, it's a little bit different there because this class, especially for Superflex, isn't that strong.
Correct. Yes, I would happily give up the 102 and the 2023 first for Dak. I would do that in a second. I would not accept it, but I would, if someone were willing to accept that, I would do that right now, immediately. Speaking of QBs, there's another young gun out there who is yet to land with a team that a lot of people are speculating about, and that is Desean Watson. Noel wants to know, where do we think Watson ends up? Kind of seems like it's coming down to the Saints and the Panthers.
If I was Desean Watson, I would rather somebody kick me in the dick than get traded to the Saints because of the situation they're in right now. I mean, it's just a terrible situation, and I
really
get it. The
is.
cap can be manipulated in many different ways, and so some of that. But the offense is just barren. Like you're relying on a 29-year-old wide receiver who hasn't played in almost 2 years. It's had tons of injuries and lower body injuries at that. To be
Can only
productive
run
past that,
slants.
they have slant boy. Marcus Callaway, I like him, but that's not getting the juices going if you're Desean Watson.
They
Traquan's
tendered
gone.
Deontay Harris, man.
Yeah. And Alvin Kamara, who is getting older. And so it's a terrible spot. Their offensive line, Teron Armstead's not there. He's a free agent. They could possibly bring him back, I guess. But this is just not a good situation to be in. Why you just went from one shit show in Houston? Why do you want to go to another? And not to mention Sean Payton's gone. You're sitting here with Dennis Allen. What's already been a bad coach in his career. Getting another opportunity. So and I'm not if you look at Carolina, at least they have they have money. They're not in cap hell. They still have Christian McCaffrey, who's a better running back than Alvin Kamara. They still have DJ Moore, who I think could be absolutely unlocked if with an actual quarterback. Who's still very young. They still have Robbie Anderson there that they haven't moved on from. Terrace Marshall, who knows? But they're going to have some some good draft capital as well to be able to fall back on, to be able to make some more moves. So Desean Watson to Carolina, it makes all the sense in the world. Their offensive line is okay; it's not great, but their defense took a big step forward last year as well. And so Carolina's a no-brainer. If you have a choice between go to one or the other, you go to Carolina.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's close either. And then they can offer more because they have the higher draft pick there, right? 7, I think it is. No, off the top of my head.
I'm not
No,
sure.
they don't draft.
They added to the offensive line.
They definitely have a higher pick.
They draft 6th, so I think they can definitely offer more, and then they have all the cap space in the world. So in the future, he can get an extension as opposed to the Saints. What are the Saints offering him? It's just I don't know why he would even contemplate going to New Orleans. It's exactly what you're saying. So I think he winds up in Carolina.
And I guess, from what I've seen, he has no interest in playing anywhere that's cold. So, that's why, Seattle made a ton of sense for him to go there. But that's not happening because he wants no part of that. Cleveland, it sounds like he laughed at. Philly,
Indy would have been perfect. However, same division.
There's not a chance in hell they're going to trade him to Indy.
That's never happening.
I don't think they trade him anywhere into the AFC. I think it's straight NFC only. And so Carolina makes by far the most sense.
Right. That cuts down on so many teams. And you're talking about who? Atlanta? No, they're not going to do anything like that. Who else in the NFC? No. Washington already did something. It was too expensive. He didn't want to go there. Minnesota, Cousins. He doesn't have a lot of options to go to in the NFC either. So everyone's saying Watson has all the leverage in the world, but guess what? Houston can still refuse to trade him to an AFC team and say, listen, these are your 2 choices. So
yeah. And I already said that. Cap can easily be manipulated. That's not the problem. It's they have nothing else. They have nothing. You're trying to. I know you're a fan of the Saints, so you're going to try to hype up Michael Thomas and all this other stuff. But we're talking about a 29-year-old wide receiver who has not done shit in 2 years, that has routinely lower body injuries over and over. You don't have no idea what he is anymore. None. And they have nothing else. Nothing. And you have an Alvin Kamara, and that is literally it. Those are the weapons. It's like going right. It's like he might as well stay in Houston if that's the case, because there's nothing there, and there's not some great opportunity somewhere else. They're not going to be able to sign all these other wide receivers that are going to get taken over. So where's the weapons coming from? What is he going to do? And you're giving away all your draft capital, so because you're going to have to make the move, and so where else is it coming from? And so I get it. You're a fan. You're the Saints. You want him to come there. Totally understand. But it's not happening.
And when you talk about getting out of cap hell every single year, listen, that's perfectly fine. But now you're losing your starting, Pro Bowl left tackle because of that cap hell that doesn't exist.
Right. And I think they're now, they went from, I think they had to clear $30 million. They're down to $6 million.
Down to $6 million.
But once you add Desean Watson back to it, that's an extra, 30-some million. I think they're going to have to, okay, now you're back up to 40 million that you're going to have to figure out. Yes, I get it. Cap can be manipulated. It's largely overrated at times with this. But you still have to get under that, and some other things are going to happen. And so it's possible that's where he goes. If he is, he's an idiot.
And what's the offense look like? What's the offense look like without Sean Payton?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know why he wants to go there. It's the.
I don't even know if he does want to go there. I mean, it's possible that they're using the Saints as leverage to get more from Carolina, but Carolina seems like the best spot for him. We've been talking about this since last year that Carolina was a perfect spot for him to go to.
Yeah.
I just saw Christian Kirk $37 million guaranteed.
That
so that they can easily get out of that.
Right. So, and that's what I was saying before. Everybody's talking about the crazy money, but it's the money on the back end, the voidable years.
And essentially, like I said, I think that's what I said earlier. I think the first 2 years are guaranteed, and then after that, there's very little guaranteed money after it.
And if you look at the cap space they have available for the next 2 years, it's a ton. And they're going to make that all this money is probably going to go away, the guaranteed money, as soon as Trevor Lawrence is due an extension.
Maybe even that. I mean, it's maybe 2 years and he's gone. I mean, it's still a nice haul for him, but it's not nearly as bad of a contract as people think that it is. But what's your prediction for the trade haul for the Texans? 3 firsts and 2 seconds, and probably more. Is the bare minimum asking price. It's 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and maybe even players to go on top of it. They are going to get the back, and it was it's very smart for them to wait like they did instead of making a deal last year, because they wouldn't have got nearly as much as they're going to get now. Yeah. Now that the legal stuff's over with, and I know there's been people that have talked about with him that because like Adam Schefter got crucified for basically saying that he's not innocent yet, because the grand jury, but the NFL doesn't care. Because he's not going to there's no charges that are going to get pressed against him. Right. So that as long as that part's done, the NFL couldn't give 2 shits about anything else. That's all they cared about. So now that that's over, he is back to being prime. This is the best thing that's very, 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 very rarely do you get an opportunity to get, arguably a top 5 quarterback that's 26 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say at 26. That's the crazy part. You're going to have him potentially for another 10 to 13 years. So those 3 first-round picks are a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, and it's you see fans like, I wouldn't give up that much, and for him. I'm like, you're crazy. I don't care. If it took 5 first-round picks, it doesn't matter. I don't care, because every team that has a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, and then you have everybody else, right? So the teams that have Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, all these teams with these quarterbacks, you are locked to go to the playoffs every year, almost unanimously every single year, right? And you're the only teams that really have a shot at a Super Bowl, for the most part. A lot of these other teams that are running around with Kirk Cousins and all these other back end quarterbacks, unless you have an absolute elite defense like the Ravens or something like that, that's the only shot you have at winning a Super Bowl if you don't have one of those quarterbacks. It's all a pipe dream. You get hyped up because you want to be a fan, you want to cheer on your team, but you have no shot if you do not have a franchise quarterback. And the franchise quarterback is worth anything that you would give up. Honestly, if a team offered the Chiefs 10 years of first-round picks, I would still say no and hang up.
Well, and the other thing is, I think Matthew Stafford winning a Super Bowl this year has emboldened teams to just say, you know what? Look what happened. They traded first-round picks for it, and it wound up being well worth it. The Rams trade their picks away every single year, and they have a quarterback now, so it works out.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I really want to get one of them shirts for the Rams that said "fuck them picks," because it's true. Who cares? So often we talk about the miss picks, right? Where it's the Chiefs drafted McCole Hardman over DK Metcalf or whatever, that kind of stuff, right? But there are so many misses in the NFL draft, every year with these guys. First round picks, second round picks, doesn't matter. It's such a crapshoot.
I've never seen a busted pick here in Philadelphia. Never seen it.
Yeah, you don't know anything, Jalen Reagor. I mean, he was, you could have had Justin Jefferson, but you took Jalen Reagor.
J-Jaw.
Oh, thanks. I wasn't aware. Breaking news.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah. We need a ticker on every single show that I'm on that just says breaking news: Jalen Reagor was picked over Justin Jefferson.
And wasn't J-Jaw over Metcalf?
Oh yeah, and Terry McLaurin. We don't talk about that either. And
to
if we
be
want to
fair,
go back
it's
even...
easy to say that now with McLaurin, but at the time there was not a lot of excitement around Terry McLaurin.
Well, the problem was I'm not getting into it. No, we're not going to do it. Free agency show. Nope, not a fuck Howie Roseman show. Come on.
So you
Look
know,
at that
like I said,
self-control by me. It was right there.
I think at least by Wednesday, we get this resolved with Desean Watson wherever he's going. Thankfully, as far as we still have a lot of players though left that haven't went anywhere. Allen Robinson, Will Fuller, Juju, Odell, which I think he'll go back to the Rams, but Leonard Fournette still sitting out there. Melvin Gordon, Rashad Penny, which you can think whatever you want about him, but he had a strong end of the second half. We have
Armstead, Von Miller, Chandler Jones is out there. Your boy, the Honey Badger, Marcus Williams, A-Rob, Odell. Gilmore's out there.
A ton of guys still left.
Yeah. Jameis is still out there.
Yeah,
just I don't know to be signed.
Jimmy G, Jarvis Landry. Now that he's been released, why? I guess I don't understand that. Why? Obviously it came out a couple days ago. Browns giving Jarvis Landry permission to seek a trade, and then they just released him. What's?
Well,
nobody wanted to take on that cap.
That and once the team knows that you're going to release them, just okay, I'm not going to give you anything for him. And I don't I think there's certain teams that he would actually be a really good fit for.
New England.
It's crazy that really I think I saw somebody tweet this. I can't remember who it is, but today that he feels like he's 38 because it really does. It feels like he's been in the league for he's a 15-year vet, but he's only 29 years old. And so the Chiefs would actually be probably a really good fit for him. I don't want him with the other wide receivers that are sitting out there, Allen Robinson, Juju, all those guys I would much rather have than Jarvis Landry. But it does make sense because what he then allows you to be able to, you have that underneath guy. It's pretty much what they had with Sammy Watkins, except for Sammy Watkins couldn't stay healthy. But, that's what they wanted with Sammy Watkins, was somebody that could eat the underneath. And then allows you to, allow Tyreek and Travis Kelce to, go further down the field and be able to open up the offense more, which they haven't had that, last year. But I just don't really want him. I think there's other wide receivers I'd rather have. But I think that he's going to find it. I mean, there's definitely, the other was the Saints that you can go to.
Juju's still out there too,
which is a complete redundant fucking asset if he went to the Saints. Whatever you have, Michael Thomas. You have Michael Thomas, who that's all he does is short intermediate routes, and then you sign the other guy who does that. That would be very Saints.
And
there you go. See, that's what he wants to happen. It would, and also Honey Badger. He can get fucked. He has no business getting at 30 years old, getting the money. He thinks he wants $15, $16 million.
Aggressive.
You don't sign a 30-year-old safety to that kind of money. It's ridiculous. Find me the guy that has signed that for that much money that's worked out. Harrison Smith got that much money last year as a contract extension and was fucking terrible with the Vikings.
When I tell you something's aggressive. You need. Anyways, let's talk about the Chiefs. I could also go down a rabbit hole. We're not talking about that. But in terms of these other guys, do you guys have any predictions of where you hope some of these guys go? Which guy? I honestly,
Fournette. Do you think Fournette? Do you think he goes back to Tampa now that Tom Brady has come back? Because this is kind of his last opportunity because he can't really sign. I can't imagine he's going to sign a 1-year deal because this is his last opportunity to get anything. Right? He's 27 years old. He's not young, but I think the best fit would be maybe for him to go back to Tampa Bay. I know people that don't like the Keyshawn Vaughn truthers that have been holding on to Keyshawn Vaughn, been hoping that maybe Keyshawn Vaughn could get the opportunity this year. But Leonard Fournette, I think makes a little bit of sense. Melvin Gordon, being out there. Thank God it sounds like he's not going back to Denver. Thankfully, so we can let Javonte eat. And then Rashad Penny's also interesting because I don't know what Seattle's going to do at quarterback either, right? What do they do now? Do they bring in Jameis? Or do they stick with Drew Lock, I guess, for a year? I guess you're going to stick with him. And you got all these picks now.
I mean, looking at the running back landscape throughout the league with these free agent running backs, it's pretty bleak. It doesn't look great. Plus, if I'm a team, why am I going to spend $6 million on a running back like Fournette when I could draft one on a rookie contract? You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's tough. Justin Reed did just sign with the Chiefs, Kev.
Yeah.
3-year, $31.5 million deal, $20 million guaranteed. As for other things, I'm still hearing a lot of Juju to the Eagles talk around here, which makes a lot of sense. The Eagles do need a veteran wide receiver who's not complete garbage. I don't think Allen Robinson is going to come. I don't think we're going to get Allen Robinson. I don't think we're getting anything like that, but I think Juju is a fit there.
Yeah, and the Allen Robinson thing, it sounds like he's going to go to Detroit, and
I don't understand it.
I don't
kind of hoping to just skip over that because
I put this in the Discord earlier, and I honestly feel like that he just doesn't give a shit about winning. Because you play with the Jags, then you go play with the Bears, and now you're going to go play with the Lions. Like, you're 29 years old, bro. You've made them. You've made money. Like, should this be your opportunity now? Like, I want to win a ring, and I know I think he's from Detroit. So I saw that, whatever. But like, who cares? Like, this is your opportunity to get a ring. You're not getting it with the Lions, not anytime soon. You're gonna be out of the league before the Lions even have an opportunity to do something like that again. To be able for them to probably turn this around.
Is he that guy who, after his career's over, complains about never having a good quarterback? And he
has no excuse. He's had multiple opportunities.
So I can't wait for the interviews. Like, if I had a good quarterback, I'd be in the Hall of Fame.
And it's not even that there is a part that wants him to sign with the Chiefs. Don't get me wrong. I 100% want that. But there's so many other opportunities you could go to. Right? Go sign with the Colts. Go sign with somebody, a team that is better situated than what the Lions are. Like, it just doesn't make any sort of sense to me why you'd want to go there, other than you're from there. But he's never had a good quarterback in his career ever. And this is your opportunity. But no, you're gonna go sign with the fucking Lions? I don't know.
Yeah.
I love Allen Robinson too. I'm an absolute Allen Robinson truther. Have been his entire career, and it's just sad.
So before we finish out, there were some tight ends. So just not that we have to talk about these guys a ton, but should mention obviously Gesicki got tagged. He already signed his franchise tag as well. I think he was the first one to sign it. Evan Ingram, we already talked about, also went to Jacksonville. Mo Alley Cox re-signed with the Colts. I was really hoping for the Kylan Granson second-year tight end breakout. Seems like that could potentially be put on hold. And then one that was weird, Ertz back to Arizona. CJ Uzomah to the Jets, who also got Laken Tomlinson on the offensive line. So a solid start for the Jets offseason. But then obviously Fant was included in the trade with Seattle. And then they re-signed Will Dissly today as well, which I thought
it's
why?
Very Pete Carroll. It's what Pete Carroll.
They love Will Dissly. They just love him. And plus, Noah Fant, I believe it's a contract year anyway for him coming up. So last year of his contract.
I think that's right.
Yeah, last year of his contract. So we'll see how long he is there. It's so funny. It's like you're just like, yeah, Noah Fant, Russell Wilson, blah blah. No, come on, man. And now he goes to Seattle.
He just feel like he's cursed. Noah Fant, like, son of a bitch. Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, and now this.
It'd have been so funny if he was the guy who put the eye emoji up, when the trade happened. Yeah, we got Russ.
There's been a lot of that today. A lot of players that
have
been doing that today. Tyreek Hill did it 2 or 3 hours ago.
What do we think happens with Devonta Adams, with him coming out and saying that he's going to refuse to play on the franchise tag?
We'll sign him.
You have to be we had the whole Aaron Rodgers saga about his contract and everything, and And they supposedly, I guess, he refuted it, but the $200 million deal, all this stuff, so they pay him, right? And now you see the Packers signing everybody else and giving extensions and making it rain on everybody else, and then all Devonta Adams get is the franchise tag. It's like, and they like the Devondre Campbell 5-year $50 million deal is fucking ridiculous. The guy's had 1 year in his entire career. Last year was his only year. And then if I'm Devontae, and like I see this, I'm like, this motherfucker just got $50 million for 1 year, and like I can't, like, you guys can't pay me. Like I think it's real, and I think he could, but it's tough because of where he's at in his age. Like, he's not young, I mean, he's 29 years old, and so I think it's tough for him, because if he does sit out, I mean, another year older, everything else. Obviously, he's coming off a monster year, so obviously he still has it. But like, I don't know. I think it's a tough situation and to be in, And I don't know. Like, there's still kind of like I know players are their own player and everything else, but it's also kind of like if I think about Devontae, it's like, fuck you, Aaron Rodgers. Like, you get all this money, and it's all making it all about you, and like he doesn't even get anything. Obviously, it's not like that, and every player is different. But I don't think he's going to sit out. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, and the other thing is, you see these players playing on 1-year contracts, then they get hurt, they tear their ACL, and then they still get paid a shit ton. Anyway, because an ACL isn't, it's not shit anymore.
But to be fair, they should have already signed him. Like he has definitely earned that, because this is his only this is his last chance at a contract. So I get it for Devonta Adams, even though, I mean, the franchise tag he's still going to get, it's still a large chunk of money. But again, as a 30-year-old wide receiver, what he will be, if he did tear his ACL, he's never getting that money again. And so that would be that's not going to happen. And so that is the tough part. And so I don't blame him. Like, I play him hardball.
So you have to play, what is it? I think you can miss 10 games and still accrue a season. So they come back by week 11, right? So franchise tag.
I don't know how that works though. I don't think it's the same for the franchise tag. It's like the Le'Veon Bell thing. When Le'Veon Bell.
No, it is. You can sign. You can sign it like the day before and then report. So it's like you had to play in 6 games. So maybe 7, or he would miss like 11 weeks. The franchise tag for wide receivers is what, $20 million? So he's missing. He's sacrificing $11 million to get that extension, if he was going to go down that route. So it's a negotiating ploy, and you hear this all the time with certain players, like high-end players that are older getting their contract. He'll get something done. No, he's probably going to sit out training camp, whatever, and then they'll wind up doing something.
The Packers, or the wide receiver franchise tag is $18 million. I was like, that's way too low. 18? Yeah.
Okay, I felt like it was 20.
No, it's 18.4.
Did he get tagged last year? He didn't get tagged last year, did he?
No.
Who got tagged twice?
Chris Godwin.
Okay.
Did he get tagged twice?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Chris Godwin. Yeah? Godwin got that tag last year. Yeah, he got tagged twice.
Maybe he's making 20.1. I think it's like 20.1 for the franchise tag. For if you got tagged twice, something like that.
Don't question me, okay?
Don't stop.
Believe me, I know. Words. I know, because I was looking forward to Chris Godwin hopefully getting, going to like Indy or something last year, and it didn't get to happen because they franchised him. And I thought for certain they would franchise him again for 2 years in a row. They of course, they did. So,
yeah, right.
Well, speaking of Indy, and we can get out of here on this one. Noel wants to know who will be the Colts starting QB. I've seen the rumors with potentially Jimmy G. And then I also saw, this is a couple days ago for the Jimmy G stuff came up, but I can't remember which reporter it was, but tweeted out that Marcus Mariota was the name that was being attached most to the Colts. Yeah. Who do you guys think it ends up being?
I mean, they still have options between Winston, Mariota, and a trade option with Jimmy G. I would think, if the Niners want to wait, or the Colts don't feel like trading more picks to get a quarterback, Mariota is a good option, and then you can try and take one of those QBs in the second round this year, because you don't have a first-round pick, and then you're going to trade a second-round pick for Jimmy G, because that's probably what he's going to cost. If Wentz costs 2/3, Jimmy G's worth a second.
You know, the Colts, man. I tell you what, since Andrew Luck feels like they've just been like they just continue
So
cycling through
unlucky?
quarterbacks and trying to find an option, and every year it just doesn't work
Mhm.
out. I appreciate that they keep trying to find one, but I don't know. My guess at this point would probably be Jimmy Garoppolo. They have to trade Jimmy G. He's got to go somewhere. They're not going to. I can't imagine you let Trey Lance once again, even if sit on the bench for Jimmy Garoppolo. It just can't happen. And so I think it's the most likely destination at this point for him because they're not trading Jimmy Garoppolo to the Seahawks. So it would make the most sense to send him to Indianapolis, it'd probably be very much like an Alex Smith situation, much like what the Chiefs did, where he comes there, maybe plays for a year or two, and then they find another quarterback. They trade up, grab one, whether it's this draft or next year, something, and they make something happen. This team is like ready built, right, to be
It is.
a really strong playoff contender, a really good defense, excellent offensive line, Jonathan Taylor. You get Michael Pittman. They need to add a few more pieces along for their wide receivers, but this is an offense. This is a team that's kind of ready built to contend, but they can't seem to find a damn quarterback. Maybe they just go to Andrew Luck and like, Andrew, we will make you the highest paid quarterback ever.
You just have to
And
gain 60.
Look
You just have
at
to
what
gain
we've
60
built
pounds back.
for you.
Andrew Luck has been filming 1883, the trip west, to Montana, because he has not been eating anything except wheat and the occasional salmon.
Well, it is what it is.
And that's fine. That's your journey. That's fine. He looks healthy.
I mean, look at Gronk.
But-
Gronk did the same thing. Whenever he retired, he lost a bunch of weight, and everyone was like, "There's no way he's gonna be able to come back and play." I mean, he was back, no problems.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I think he definitely could.
So going back to the Colts though, and their options. So they have the 42nd pick in the second and 2 third-round picks this year. So if they're going to do anything with Jimmy G, they're probably going to trade a 3rd-round pick and then a conditional pick next year that can go up to a 2 probably. That's the blueprint. Already,
that's way too much.
Right?
That is ridiculous.
Listen,
if that's what it takes.
That's
to
the
trade
price
for
of a
him,
quarterback.
Sign
Carson
James
Wentz-
Winston. Sign somebody else.
I'm with you. That's why I say it's more cost effective for them to sign Mariota and then take a shot on a quarterback that falls at 42, or they have the extra 3rd-round pick. If another one falls they really like, they can move up. Who knows? I don't know.
If we're being fair, like if any team in the AFC right now just has to be like, fuck this bullshit. Can we switch? Can we get traded to the NFC? Can we go over there? Because the AFC right now is just absolutely loaded, and it's not. The AFC West. You have the Bengals obviously with them.
The North.
They've done a really good job today with improving that offensive line, and then you still have Baltimore, who's going to be back. Get a lot of these guys back. Who's going to be back from injury? Lamar Jackson can bounce back. The Bills obviously aren't going anywhere. So the AFC is not the place to be right now whatsoever. So yeah.
And now Russell Wilson's in the AFC.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. Like the entire AFC West, even the Raiders. Everybody can talk shit on the Raiders, but they're going to win games. They win ugly games. That's kind of like what they do. That's their thing. But to your point, it's just NFC is just garbage.
It's
so
really
top
is.
Heavy. It's so top heavy.
Which is one of the reasons probably why that if you're Tom Brady, you have to be like, Russell Wilson's ass is gone now too? Shit. I'm bringing my ass back. Like, this is going to be the easiest run for a Super Bowl I could possibly have,
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, because basically you have the Packers there, Rodgers. What? You have, possibly if Desean Watson goes somewhere, I guess that could be a possibility. And, obviously if they go to Carolina.
Arizona,
Bucks,
the Rams.
and
Rams aren't
the
going
49ers.
anywhere.
And that's the list. Unless I'm forgetting somebody.
No, probably not. I don't.
I guess if you want to say the Cowboys, I guess. I don't know. Like,
no, you can't include
I don't think
them.
they're a Super Bowl contender.
But not with Mike McCarthy's their coach. So no.
Yeah. So the NFC is wide open. But
yeah, it's trash.
Anyways, we've been going for almost exactly an hour. We'll be back again on Wednesday because we still have a lot of moves that are going to happen. So we're just scratching the surface. Most of the wide receivers are all still out there. So we still have a lot more. But hopefully by then, we'll have Desean Watson news. So we don't have to keep talking about this, and hopefully it can be over, and we can, have a better idea of what what's going on there. So anyways, it's good to be back. It's good to be talking some fantasy football and not just rookies, even though, the NFL draft is a month and a half away. So that'll continue to heat up. We'll start getting even more information with that as well. So, it's been a fun, really exciting first day of free agency.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to go. I appreciate everybody rocking with us in the chat. Be sure, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button for future content. We ain't going nowhere. We will catch you guys on the next one. See you guys Wednesday night. Bye.